out. Okay.
I'm
Okay,
here.
we're going to be recording. Welcome. Hi, Carrie.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. All right, so early mood this morning, afternoon, I don't know what day it is. Our early mood this morning is a very brief quote from the Jerusalem Talmud. As the leader, so the generation. As the generation, so the leader. As the leader, so the generation. As the generation, so the leader. What do you think this text has to do with Havayah?
Well, I think that as educational directors, we always have to reinvent ourselves and to understand what the current trends are and how we have to adapt to the time.
Nice. Anybody else?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yay. How do these things work? I think it is important for us to model to our community of learners, and that is both the students and the teachers, that to lead is to learn. So we're both. And I think that they are both the models and the teachers. That's what I get from this.
Yeah, and we can all learn from each other. Terrific.
Absolutely.
And we also need to know where our students or our teachers are, so so we can meet them where they are and bring them up to where we want them. So that's why we need to be respectful of the population we're dealing with and teaching and trying to move them forward. Start at an entry point where they can start.
It's a beautiful segue to our conversation that we will be having shortly. Kevin or Marcia, any other thoughts?
Can
No?
you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I find it's very timely with the inauguration this week, and I'm not going to say anything else.
Trying not to get political.
I think that's a good way of making your point.
Well, this is Kevin. I was thinking about multiple generations, right? So, leadership emerges with students, with teachers, with directors, with boards. So, it's a statement that can show, multi-generational accountability, and that we could each learn from each other to get to the place where we want to be together.
I think it's wonderful that you all came up with different answers to the question that are all relevant, and it shows just what a powerful Havayah team this team can be, and this team is. So I appreciate all of your thoughts. And so the first half of our discussion this afternoon is going to be around our teachers. So really talking about who are our ideal teachers. We can talk a little bit about the challenges we may have had. Some congregations hired later than others. Some congregations were able to talk to their teachers about Havayah and had them buy in sooner rather than later, and what that dynamic was all about. What qualifications should they have? What skill sets should they have? And what skill sets do they have? And again, also talking about what training can be provided and what we have done and what we could do. So anybody want to start the conversation about talking about teachers?
Well, our particular situation, and I'm not quite sure if it's the teacher this year or the students themselves. This particular class has a difficult chemistry. There are a number of students that have been problems for years, and so what I would say. So this particular teacher is not just having problems in Havayah, but problems with everything because of certain kids in the class. And it might also be personality, her personality. But I think the teacher really has to be a Pied Piper, has to be dynamic and be able to really bring the kids along. I mean, when I have gone into the class, kids are involved, they're working on their projects, but not many of our kids come to the mifkashim. So I think there's a Pied Piper kind of personality that needs to be included in this, so the kids will follow this teacher wherever the class is. You know, I don't know how much detail you want to go into, but there has to be a strong dynamic with the teacher and the kids in order for the meetings, the mifkashim, to be as effective as they could be.
So I know that Susan has a response, or she wants to add to that. I'll get there in 1 second, Susan. What I'm hearing is it's a combination of class dynamic and teacher skill set.
Correct.
That we need to take into consideration when trying to create success.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Susan.
So not that I'm going to be with the program next year, but I know that one of the two teachers will stay on, and he is wonderful, but I think that we have to do something about keeping, continuing some kind of summer training and adding to it and making sure that there's just keeping that spark of education for our teachers going, and having the teachers become more of the leaders for the program. So the teachers then can mentor the new teachers so that there's just that teamwork. And I think that that will help.
I appreciate that. I think that, the teacher that you have that is continuing on has a great skill set, although I'm not sure how bought in that teacher was in the beginning to the whole. And maybe that's, I'm not sure how we could have done it differently. We were in the process of.
It was impossible to have been bought in the beginning, because he didn't know to know. And everybody was coming in with we didn't have enough time in the beginning. So we just didn't know. But now we're building something. We're building from the ground up.
We are building from the ground up, and we have the opportunity to create those connections with new staff as they come on, because we know better about what's to come than we did when you were hiring last year. So, Carrie, you want to say something?
I was going to say something.
No. Oh, Sherry was going to say something? Okay, Sherry, you go first. Carrie will be patient.
Carrie, I love Carrie. Our teacher, who is dynamite and wonderful and engaging, and also has a class of multiple, no class is perfect, full with perfect kids, but she is great. But she has informed us that she probably will be leaving at the end of this year. So I'm very concerned about transition as we go into the new, next year. We have to train a new teacher. And if we're doing 2 grades, we're going to have to train 2 new teachers. And that we are very cognizant of the fact that some of us will have new teachers and not, people who have been through the program 1 year. So
like any change initiative, it's complicated when we have changes in transition of staff. So in addition to teaching, as Susan said, she's not going to be there. So we're going to have new educational directors on the team and new teachers on the team, and that's something we really need to talk about out loud. That's why we're having this conversation, so we can plan accordingly. So that is a concern, and I'm glad you raised it.
And are you keeping a record of where there's going to be new staff? For example, out of Israel, we'll have a new education director. So that's going to mean training for that person as well.
Right. Correct.
So, yeah. And I don't know what the plans are for the 5th grade teacher for next year. And it's interesting. It's interesting as we transition here, we have to be aware of, do we hire a 5th grade teacher for our program, or do we keep very strongly in mind that we're hiring for Havayah as well? I mean, that's something that has to come maybe from JLV, that when you speak with education directors, how committed is the synagogue program to Havayah as well. I think that's something that can't be dismissed.
Yes. So you should know that in addition to recording this webinar and conversation, Anna's also taking notes. So we will be able to share those as well. And a lot of the,
Hi,
look, there
everyone.
she is. That's her hand. She's taking notes. See, there she is. She'll be able to pull out our action steps as part of this conversation and as we move forward for sure. And so, yes, to answer your question, Marcia, we are strongly considering who's leaving, which educational directors we know are leaving, and which teachers we know have been successful, and which teachers
Right.
might be better doing something else. And you're right that Havayah is only a small part of those 5th grade teachers' portfolio. And that's something to be said also.
Correct.
Oh, look, it's Mark.
Where is Mark?
I see him.
See his forehead.
I see the top of his head.
Hi, Mark.
Hello there.
There's a face for a minute.
He's fixing it.
There
There
it
he
is.
is. So, hi, Mark. I'm glad you're joining us. We're in the middle of
to be
a
joining you.
discussion about teachers.
Which I actually have some news for you. We just
Do you want to talk about teachers as we are talking about teachers?
we just made a change in teachers.
Okay, so we might want to have a
So-
conversation offline, I guess, and do some.
Well,
I need to arrange for you and her to meet. You know her, but well,
Oh, I know her. How interesting. Great.
so
actually, I can just say it. I can say it in this phone because it's official. It's announced. Ari Schwartz is going to be.
Oh, Ari Schwartz, I do know her.
Yes.
That's great. She'll be good.
oh, good.
That's great.
He's
All right.
wonderful.
So, I'm looking forward to speaking with her about Havayah. So Anna has something to say. It looks like I'm going to give you her the screen.
So somebody early in this part of the discussion said the teacher in Havayah needs to be the Pied Piper.
Yeah, that was Marcia.
It was Marcia.
Yeah.
Lead those kids, get them excited, really bring them along. Is there anything else you could add to who is that ideal person? Mark, you just did a replacement. Maybe you can say something about what you were thinking about how who your ideal kind of teacher was for this program.
So it was a broader issue that wasn't only related to Havayah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it needs to be somebody who is not just somebody who we can teach how to do experiential learning, but somebody who is well versed into it. Who so being the Pied Piper is great, but being able to really think about how to make this work in the setting, so that they're not just taking a phenomenal curriculum out of a notebook and saying, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do today, but really able to breathe life into it.
Super. And I guess I'll add to that conversation. So, Susan, do you want to talk about your teacher? I'll give you the caveat. So, one of Susan's teachers works at camp in the summer, and I was at camp and heard this guy worked at Beth David. So I actually wrote to Susan and said, you got to get him to do Havayah. And so she did. So what about him, Susan, do you think makes him successful?
Well, and he was just on the Namaj weekend with us. So he's successful, and then he has an edge. So he's he teaches high school. He's a Beth David. He went through the Beth David ranks here, and he's very committed to teaching. So what I'm thinking about with just listening to Mark and finally coming back online here is he loves what he does, and he's willing to give something new a try. Plus, He believes in getting the kids excited about teaching about Judaism, and he knows that the old school way, which he's been telling me, Susan, put that old curriculum that you've been using forever with the old way, the old school way, put it away. It's not going to work. And I've been fighting with him for a very long time, and he's been talking to me about PBL for the longest time. And I've been arguing with him, and I've been saying, where's your lesson plan, Andrew? And he said, my lesson plan is here. You have to trust me. And then he walks in, and I stand in the back of his classroom in awe, and then the kids get it. And there's something about him that's magical, but there's also something about him that's an edge. And then you'll tell him, Andrew, that was just a little bit far out there. And then he'll say, yes. And he'll be able to say, I failed forward. And so I think that's part of the magic in Andrew, that he is able to recoil back. And I think, Mark, you'll agree with me that he recognizes when he goes a little bit too, he is a very true to his spirit. And I think that's the kind of teacher and guide that we need to be able to work with a group that comes together from all parts of our community, because they're fifth graders, but they're all not the same. And wow, that's huge. And we are all not the same.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him magical.
I think I agree, Susan. But Laura, you also said he came from camp. I think it's very important that through the Havayah experience, you have that person who is comfortable in that informal setting and is comfortable in multi-groups doing multi-things and noise and whatever as they work on their projects. Yes, I'm talking with my hands, also my hands. And so that camp experience is very important in this process. And I think that part of that camp neshama is what you need in that teacher. And because it is very different. It's not your typical classroom, and you have to be able to adjust to many things. And I think that comes out of a informal education experience.
And as we look forward to next year, if some of you are hiring new teachers, that's something to look for. But I don't know that we'll necessarily, all be successful in finding it.
I'm also wondering about to what extent, to what extent we will be doing that together. This year, and we were in a big rush this year. And so that's why we're starting this conversation now. This year, we sort of said it's going to be fifth grade. It's going to be an exciting and challenging year. So try to pick your top teacher to teach fifth grade. But Lori can track. You can email her directly with if you know that you're keeping your person, or if you know that you're going to need a new person. If we're recruiting people, if you know you have to hire somebody, then maybe we ought to be joining forces. Like maybe we want to put a job description out there, and we know that there's going to be 5 open positions in synagogues around Philadelphia. For this exciting, be a part of something new, cutting edge, experiential, like really pull at the heartstrings of teachers, all those good things that the kinds of people we're looking for would get excited about. So they start from there and then come to this is what the actual program is.
But isn't that the job description for every teacher that we're trying to find?
I don't know, is it?
I mean, you kind of hope that you want every teacher to fit that kind of job description. And
well, yes, but it's not everything you do necessarily is cutting edge and innovative and as informal or project-based learning as Havayah is, unless it is.
That's true. I just want them to be. I want them to be all. I would want them to be all exciting and be creative,
engaging, exciting, creative, dynamic. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Sherry, too. That camp based that coming into this project with that camp head, that, that experiential learning that's so important. And I guess we didn't think about that. We didn't think about that as much coming into it. And I agree with you that that's so important with this going into it next year. But we're thinking about that 6th grade contingency, right?
Mhm.
For these kids. So they're going on to 6th grade. So we've got to think about really 2 sets of teachers. Is that right?
It is true that we will need a 6th grade teacher and a 5th grade teacher. I don't know in the construct of your school whether or not it could be the same person, because the Havayah piece would be offered at different times. I mean, it's possible.
So I was at a camp fair at Temple Sinai on Sunday. And and I was walking around and looking at who's at these camps, and I think that's a place where we can, where possible, teachers for this exciting, dynamic, informal, problem-based learning kind of program. Because there's 1 or 2 people I was going to follow up with from this camp fair. So maybe that's a way to look for resources.
Yeah, and we can certainly help with that. Again, like Anna said, if we create a job description that we're all comfortable with, we have relationships with all of the camps in the area, and we can, reach out to them from one location and say, if you're interested, we can connect you.
Even beyond, this was in a Camp America person that I wanted to steal.
Oh, a Camp America person. I bet I know who it is.
Okay, no names.
I hired him once.
Probably the whole family.
I hired him once. He was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
It also proves to the Jewish community at large that we're working together. Imagine that, a job description from more than one congregation.
Yes.
I think that's huge.
Yeah, and I think there's some protocol for it. I think last year, the year before, I think a couple congregations did a Jewish jobs for part-time Jewish educators online together. They shared the ad, and so it's I don't know that we're going to post on Jewish jobs, but it is something that we could do together for sure. Okay, Carrie, what do you want to add to the conversation?
No, I'm just very happy. It's like the best thing that's happened to our school lately. It's fabulous. Our teacher is wonderful. She's 120% committed. It was the right fit for the right person. And the kids, I only wish I could show you how engaged they are. My entire library has been taken over by projects.
Pictures, video, pictures. Come on, Carrie, you can do it.
Oh, I'm bad. I really am. But they're all engaged. There's lots of great energy, and it's just a wonderful thing. So thank you. It's total success, and Colomet is 120% on board with it.
Awesome.
Yay, Colomet. All right.
Yeah.
Kevin, you want to add anything?
Well, I guess for me, one of the challenges was I have a teacher who in the past has been a Pied Piper for students and families, but she's new to mainline this year as I am. And in thinking about how we cultivate a sense of excitement, it might make sense to have a teacher who the students are already comfortable, familiar with. That's just my only thought in addition to what everybody else said. You can have a teacher that's exciting and engaging, but if it doesn't meet the classroom expectation or the personalities of the students, that's a tricky line.
Well, I think that also goes to the point that if we're going to do a shared job description, an amazing educator might be awesome in one community. And what we know from our experience here at Jewish Learning Venture is that not every community is the same. So somebody who works really successful in one location may not be as successful in another, even though they're awesome. So it's
right. And I would say the other criteria that I've struggled with is, just as I would hope that I have my teachers back in any issue, that our teachers need to have Havayah's back in promoting the program for it to be successful.
Good point.
So that's actually a good segue into supervision, though I'm not sure we're done teachers. Do we have anything else? Do you want to talk about training at all? Are there additional types of training for teachers as we move forward that we should be considering that you feel like was left out or not included or a need that wasn't met?
I still
it's a silly thing, and I'm happy to teach it, but I don't know how familiar teachers are with materials. Like, do you use acrylic paint or do you use tempera paint or things like that? So, you know, our teacher has like the whole art supply closet to do whatever she wants and to use whatever she wants. But that would be my only thing, is to like how to use materials. Because some work don't.
All right, Susan.
I would suggest for next year that somebody from JLV, Gratz Federation, someone do on-site visits and
Yeah.
and report back to the group at large, even with videos or something, so that everyone can see the experiences that are happening at the schools as a share.
Yeah,
I
so
think
that's excellent. I think that you know, we've acknowledged that over the course of this year that wasn't the way this program was designed this year, and that it would be nice if it was designed that way next year. It's not really a teacher training issue, which is what we're talking about, but it's more of a supervision, which is what we're getting at.
It kind of could be a teacher training issue.
It could be a teacher training tool if we're able to use video to show success.
Right, but success I think that this could really help the teachers, because they could grow from seeing what's going on in the other classrooms if used correctly.
Yeah,
Suggested.
So we can continue to talk about teacher training as we move forward. I'm just going to start the conversation about supervision because I feel like we're getting there slowly.
I just want to add something.
Sure, go ahead, Marcia.
First of all, I have been nagging my kids to send me that interview. So I have not forgotten my promise to you guys. They just haven't sent it. But there's no reason. I mean, I take pictures every week of my class. We can each forward you videos of what's going on during Havayah. So I'll be happy to do that, for one. And as the kids are working on their projects and so forth. I mean, it would be nice if there was a visit. I think it adds credibility if somebody comes out. But we can certainly also video what's going on in the classrooms. And I just want to make another note that in terms of evaluation, nobody has ever spoken to the kid. You know, I don't know what's happening with that.
That's not true.
It's true to some extent. So we'll talk about that. That's a good point. So, so it would be great if everybody could send photos and videos. I think the vision in the fall, when we first launched, was that there would be ongoing conversation among the teachers and among the ed directors. So we would all be part of this Havayah team and know and see what was going on in the classroom. So maybe it was because people were blogging about it or chatting about it or asking questions about it, or maybe it's because they were sharing pictures or videos. As you know, we started the year with a Moodle that was going to do that pretty much. That was the goal, really, to create that community. We were all going to learn from each other, both ed directors and teachers. And the Moodle was too challenging for our part-time supplementary school teachers to engage with. And so when we met in November, we talked about that issue and we created the Google group, which seemed much better. And we had some limited success with teachers talking and answering questions on there. But it still isn't, I would say it's still very limited success. It still isn't being used. We think communication is really going to be key to the success of Havayah. And so if you can be our helpers in getting that to happen. Is Alana joining us now?
Hello.
Yes, I think she is. I think it's Alana. So I'd love to talk a little bit about how you can help us get make it part of the priority. Maybe it's part of the hiring process that we, to go back to what we were talking about earlier, that it's part of the hiring process, that on an ongoing basis, at least, twice a month, something is posted on the Google group or whatever methodology we decide is the best. But we really need to have that ongoing conversation in order to be able to be their best resources for each other.
Susan?
Okay, I'll call you back.
Okay, Alana is coming on. She is not muted, and she's talking to somebody else, but she is here now, so that's good. We'll get to see her feedback. So any responses to my supervision, communication kinds of questions? All of us are multitasking. And that's part of the issue, right? That we're all doing 10,000 things.
You know, you had given us a form for supervision. Did you want them on a regular basis?
So right, we had given you a 5-minute walkthrough kind of form to help you supervise the teachers. As we've said, it would be great if a Havayah person like myself could come into every school and visit. I want to be very, very clear that's awesome that if we're able to do that. But when I think logistically about the role that I am currently in for next year, if we have a 5th grade cohort and a 6th grade cohort, and we're going to do mifgashim for each one, there are only, maybe 30 weeks in the year, not even, because we're not going to do, some of them wouldn't be the best weeks to come visit. So there aren't that many weeks. So we really, in addition to the Havayah director coming out in the future, we really are going to depend upon ed directors to supervise. So as Marcia said, we did give you a 5-minute walkthrough form. The question is, would we like them? And the answer is yes, we'd love to have them. I don't know how many of you are using them.
Has anyone tried it yet?
I have.
I have not, because I've been dealing with broader issues with
So Mark has not, Marcia has.
How did it go,
I would
Marcia?
be happy to with
Now you will start.
Yeah, you will.
using them.
That'd
We
be
hear
great.
you.
Marcia, how did it go?
I mean, it was fine. It's very general. I can send you the one. I mean, I did it the week that after our previous meeting, so I haven't been doing it on a regular basis, but I visit the class every week. I mean, I can. It was a very general walkthrough, and you can add to it if. I mean, it was fine. At least it gives you a format.
Did you find it helpful to focus what you were looking for?
Gosh, I'm not at my desk and I don't have it in front of me, so I don't remember at this point.
Okay.
But it was nice to have a form. It really was nice to have a form, and certainly a good way to provide you guys with feedback. So
Yes, we'd love to see if you have those. We'd love to see them. Has anybody else
used them?
I use a form that's similar to that. It's I go in and out of all of the different classrooms. So yeah, I can share it with you the next time I see you.
Super. Anybody else used the form or has been in the classroom and has anything formal to share?
I can say.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
I can say one thing that it seems to me that with this experience, the 5th graders are much more focused than some of the other grades, and I like that. So that's a great asset.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Alana.
Hello. I have not used the new form yet, but I have been in the classroom a little bit. Although unfortunately, during January and February, I'm not able to be in the classroom because I teach on Wednesday afternoons and we move to Shabbat school for our Sundays. We shift to Saturdays, and so Havayah, because it involves like writing and projects, has also moved to Wednesdays just during these 2 months. So unfortunately, Lee and I are just communicating around the corners for these 2 months. So I'm excited to get back into the room in March and start using the new form. But things seem like they're going okay in the second unit.
I'm happy to hear that. Okay, so it sounds like having the form is helpful. Not everyone is using it consistently. Is it fair to say, as we move forward, that if we could get some feedback once a month, is that asking too much?
Fair.
Fair.
That sounds fine to me.
Fair.
It's fine with me. It's fine with Marcia.
Mark, Kevin?
Yeah, I said reasonable.
Reasonable. Okay, so once a month. Let's make a note of that. That's
fine.
Um,
That's fine.
okay, I want to go back to the Google Group question. How do we enable our teachers to both ask for help, share successes, and communicate with each other? I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall.
I don't know if they feel, certainly don't, I don't think feel like a team. And maybe they need some, I don't see my teacher reaching out to identify ways that she needs help. And
She doesn't even know how to ask.
she doesn't even know how to, yes, you have to know how to ask.
That's helpful.
Can I ask a silly question? Because maybe I'm out of the loop, and maybe have you had this kind of a format with them?
We have not. We could try a teacher format like this where they can share their issues and successes.
And it might be easy. It's non-threatening. It's might work.
It might. I mean, to some extent, we can say that, it's a pilot year and we're learning, that we really thought when we started the year that it would be like part of Havayah. You're going to, of course, talk to me all the time. And of course, that's not really, that's what we thought, Cher. Really, that's what we thought.
But
And
they don't talk to me. I mean, I have to, it's like pulling teeth to get them to talk to me in my building.
Right, and they don't know me. So I think the expectation was high. And the end result.
But they are getting a stipend from you,
They are getting a stipend from us for participating in professional development, which
Right.
I don't know whether or not they really understand that that's part of this system, or whether or not it's like, I'm not even sure that they read it or understand it. I think it goes back to our original conversation about buy-in and when we hired and what we said and what we know now that we didn't know then. But as we move forward, I really want them to buy into the whole, right? It's not just the project-based learning units in the classroom, and it's not just the mifgashim, but it's really about being part of this team of innovation.
Right.
So I am
Right.
like this. So I don't know what happened, what conversations there were with the teachers before a couple months ago. So that's why, I shook my head when you said that word.
Yeah.
Our teacher is a full-time teacher teaching a new curriculum in her school, and she is so overwhelmed with getting that done that I think this is so secondary to her. I think it comes after school, but before her family. But I would hope not. But so I think her time limitation is an issue for the.
And I think you're right, Sherry, and I think that's true for most, if not all, of our teachers. It's a part-time job, and I think we were so excited about this curriculum and this new initiative that we were like, of course they're all going to talk to me every week. And as time moved on, it was like no. And then by November, I think I was like, all right, they're supplementary school teachers. This is like this much job, right? It's not even their whole job with you. It's just 45 minutes, and I want this much stuff from them, and it's just not going to happen. So I think,
and also for those teachers that missed one or two of the professional developments, they don't even feel part of this team. There's so much, and I think my teacher expressed that at the beginning, that she was not able to make them. Whatever, I mean, that's not an excuse, but if they don't come regularly, then the buy-in is not the same.
right. So Anna has a question, and I know Susan wants to say something.
I want to ask about that. We're planning for another year, and I'm wondering about the structure. This is a much bigger question than getting people to communicate. But Lori said we recognize that for the teachers, Havayah is a part of their part-time job, And I'm wondering how you're seeing that work in the congregations. We can't really see that. We designed it intentionally because you have other curricular areas to tackle, and we wanted to give you that space. And yet I'm wondering how are the teachers managing that? How is your kids manage that structure?
Well, we talked about time as remember when we talked in November, we talked about the teachers saying that time was an issue for them, that they had, some of them were having trouble with when Havayah, with it's a 45-minute session and how do we fit Hebrew in. And when we had our PD session in December, we really tackled that a little bit. So I wonder if you're seeing differences now.
Yeah, I think it's a slightly different thing though, because there's the time management of the Havayah piece. I'm also wondering about the larger structure of did that make sense? There's one person who's managing this particular kind of learning and a very different kind of thing as 60% of the teaching experience.
So let me ask it a different way, and Anna can tell me if I'm misinterpreting what she's trying to say. I think what Anna's trying to say is, would we want to consider a teacher that's only Havayah, that's their only job, they're only coming in 45 minutes a week to do this thing and to be at the Mifkashim? Or is that what you're saying?
I don't know. Maybe it's successful. Maybe the teachers are managing well between the two models.
Sorry, this is Alana. I think that for me, having a teacher come in or hiring a Havayah specialist would not be a good idea. Because I think that one of the things that's nice about, the topic of sacred space, sacred time, or any other sort of more broad topic like that, is that it has so many great plugins to the other content areas, whatever our other content areas might be. And having the 5th grade teacher, I guess next year, the 5th grade and 6th grade teachers, whomever, also doing or having Havayah as a component of what they do means that they can think multidisciplinarily in a much better and I think coherent way than a specialist would be able to, or even then that lead teacher would be able to in thinking about what a specialist is working on. Because also in our supplemental school environments, at least in my school, my teachers really, really, really I would say tune out at best or maybe tune out at worst and only kind of half appreciate and phone in at best what the sort of specialists bring in. My 5th grade teacher isn't in communication with our music teacher to figure out how what he's doing in 5th grade Hebrew dovetails with what she's teaching in music, and how he can better scaffold for the music lesson that's coming next week. So I think that that having a specialist, while maybe that person might be able to focus more on the Havayah curriculum itself, and be better trained in how to do PBL itself, might also cause a disconnect between the Havayah piece of the curriculum and the rest of sort of the 5th grade orbit.
Helpful information. All right, Susan, I know you're waiting patiently.
Oh, thank you. So I'm thinking that I'm thinking a lot of things. I think, Anna, I hear what you're saying, and I don't interpret it the same way that Lori's asking the question, but I'm wondering whether we could create a different, the Havayah program could be separate almost from, in a different situation. Maybe just hear me out here, maybe once a month it could be for this programming, as opposed to just throwing it out there, as opposed to every week. Who knows? But I do like the idea of I do like the idea of when we're trying to get the teachers to buy in, to have, that's my lights in my office, trying to ask them the question. So I think in this kind of a format, you might be able to get them to help you by asking them what they think is going on this year, helping them to give you their feedback to where they think it could go this year, what they think about maybe next year, and what they think about maybe changing it up a little bit. Maybe it could be Sunday afternoons as opposed to Sunday mornings. Maybe it could be in different community groups. We don't know what could work. But maybe the teachers have a better handle on it, some of them, and also maybe it would give them better buy-in, and only the teachers could answer those questions to you and Anna.
So it goes back to the question of, do we want to try to have a format like this with our teachers, a mid-year check-in with them to kind of talk about these issues, maybe in a little bit of a different way. But that's a good action step for us.
I think that would make sense. I could see having one person who would do Havayah for both 5th and 6th grade, and then maybe the primary teacher for one of those grades, and then they would flip for the other grade, and the other teacher would cover a piece of the rest of the curriculum. So I could certainly see the benefit to having one person do Havayah for both grades. Although I say that with the caveat that continuing it into 6th grade will be challenging for our current setup because of the curriculum that we've been using for 6th grade. That doesn't mean we're not going to, and in certain ways I think we need to challenge the curriculum we've been doing for 6th grade, but it doesn't fit in as neatly as it did for 5th grade. So that's something that I need to work out.
So we also should make sure that we're being transparent. Our 6th grade ideas for next year are not equivalent to our 5th grade structure this year. So we know that in 6th grade, your kids are doing more B'nai Mitzvah prep, and that will be more of their focus. And so we said, what did we say, Anna? Two mifgashim? Three mifgashim, but three, what did we say? 3 mifgashim?
We said 3.
3 mifgashim, not 4, and that it may be more condensed. So it'll be important for us to hear from you as to whether or not that will work for you as we plan and start writing curriculum around. We asked you to give us content topics from what your 6th graders learn, so that we can see if we can pull out some similarities as we did for 5th grade with Sacred Speech and Sacred Time and Sacred Ways of Being. That was something that everybody could do. We similarly will do that for 6th grade. And we aren't at the point yet of beginning to write, but we are thinking about the structure and how it will fit into your existing system that might look different than 5th grade.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would like to continue to participate for the 6th grade. And as I said, I have some concerns about our current 6th grade curriculum.
You may be able to.
This may be a good opportunity to begin that shift. But it's just it'll be more of a process.
Sure.
Let me put it nicely.
It'll be a pilot year for us as well. Other supervision, 6th grade, Havayah teachers kind of.
I'm sorry, but just to backtrack a little bit.
Sure.
Next year's 5th grade curriculum will be the same as this year's 5th grade curriculum. So you don't have to rewrite that curriculum, correct?
We may tweak it based on information we get from the teachers. If there were individual pieces of text or activities that didn't really work for them, we'll want to hear we'll want to hear that and react to it and tweak appropriately. But generally, it will look the same.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And is the funding set?
The funding is not set, but they've asked us to write the proposal, and so we're in the process of doing so. We don't intend to have funding issues. Anna said one right. They wanted to succeed. Good. So we're going to move forward, and
they're feeling good about it. You're hearing good.
Yeah. You want to talk about the adult summit?
Yeah, we've emailed about it, haven't we? No,
No.
not yet.
I don't think they know.
No, you did. You did email us about it. The
We
adult
did.
seminar. Yes.
Yeah, so we're having an adult summit coming up next month that sprang from,
Yeah.
we have an advisory group that meets of representatives from the 3 agencies who initially collaborated to create Havayah, Jewish Learning Venture, Gratz College, and Jewish Federation. And we sort of were doing the big picture updates, where we are, what we're seeing for the future, and what are the big questions that we have to answer. And it became clear that we have a lot of important questions, and that's why you all received information about the Adult Summit in February, where there'll be an opportunity to explore what's been going on this year, and then to split up and talk we would ask from this group, we would ask you to decide who would go to talk about what will 6th grade look like, and who will go to talk about what we should know about 5th grade or tweak. And we would also invite congregations who are not yet in Havayah. They would not be invited to do 6th grade, but they would be invited to 5th grade. So they would send their people to the 5th grade conversation.
Right, we did. Now I'm remembering.
Yeah, you
we
remember saying
asked,
this.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, we did say it because we asked you to identify parents and lay leaders who you would want at that conversation. And so the idea is that we would have a team of at least 3 of each of the current Havayah congregations at that adult summit, and that as Anna said, any community, and we know of a few that are interested in Havayah for next year, could come and hear about it.
Could you resend that email or just a reminder? Has anybody replied to you about that?
No.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
we can resend the adult summit information for sure. And it will be held at Gratz, I think.
yes, that's what you. Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions about the content of that summit, or anything you want to contribute to the thought of that agenda?
Mark your calendars. We'll send it out again. It's in February. I want to say February 23rd.
I can look it up right now.
I believe Anna's going to look it up right now. I think it's February 23rd. Am I right?
Yes. Yes, you are.
So you would want us at that. You would want us at that meeting, at that summit as well.
Yes, you and some key lay leaders or parents in the program.
Yeah.
Teacher?
A teacher would be great if teachers could participate. A team of people, it's a team effort. So Kevin, like the teachers the parents that you had helping us at the Mifgash at Mainline Reform Temple would be great, because they had kids in the program and they saw a Mifgash. Yeah.
Depending on the culture of your community, you might consider the senior rabbi. If you're needing buy-in, or if in order to make decisions you need that person's buy-in, you might consider bringing out a senior rabbi with you.
Okay, so to bring it back, I want to bring it back. So we talked a lot about teachers and what are ideal teachers. We know that it's a pilot year and that some of our teachers have been more successful with Havayah than others. I did hear that we're going to do one of these forums for the teachers, so they'll be able to share what's working and what they need support in this webinar context. Hopefully they'll be able to participate. What you'll see now is that we have 7 of 8 congregations represented on this call. Shoshana from Orami sent regrets. She has a
lot of illness.
A lot of illness in her family, and we'll be meeting after the meeting to catch her up. So she sent regrets. But 7 out of 8 is pretty good. If we could get, all the teachers to talk together, that would be phenomenal. And I think we'll also, on that call, we'll try to set it up for before the next Mifgash, so we can talk about the Mifgash. I had sent out the outline for the teachers with no response. So that was in an attempt to get them to understand what the project situation would look like after hearing feedback from MIFGASH number 2. Susan, do you want to say something?
Yes, so where is the next MIFGASH?
The next MIFGASH is at Cole Emmet, yay Carrie. It's at Cole Emmet, and everybody will be transported by bus except
Okay.
Carrie's kids.
Did you send us the list of who was there at the second one?
Did we send you the?
The list of our kids who were there? We talked about it, I know.
I don't know if we did. We do have that information, so we certainly can send you our attendance records. I think I did.
What I heard, by the way, from some of my kids, and I don't know exactly who was there, but I heard that we actually had good attendance, and that they were surprised that some of their mainline friends weren't there from mainline reform. So I don't know that the lack of transportation was.
I appreciate that feedback.
And I don't know if that's accurate or not. That was,
Yeah, I don't know if it's accurate. I know that Beth David also had a good turnout. Addith did not. I don't know. Maybe Kevin, you know how many kids were there. I'd have to look at the spreadsheet, but I certainly can share that data with you. It felt to us like it was a bus issue in mainline, but we could be wrong. It's hard to know because we know how many people were in the room, but at the time, during the MIFGASH, we can't tell where the kids aren't from, like who's not there, right? We just know that it feels like 95 kids instead of 130 kids. Where are the 40 others? I don't know. So we can go back and look. Then some of it, of course, is just going to be regular absenteeism. I'm busy that week.
Right. No, of course. But I think it probably is worthwhile to look at, especially for the main line. Because to me, it would feel, I didn't hear a lot of kvetching about it.
Good.
Which means that either they didn't kvetch and just didn't show up, in which case it is a problem, or it's not a problem, in which case, if we don't need to use the community money that way, I'm sure we can find better uses.
Yeah, I'm sure that we can find better uses. We did have a whole conversation about whether or not, that made a difference, and is that money warranted because we want the kids to come.
Right. No, absolutely. And if I if I look and I say, oh my God, these 7 kids would have been there had there been a bus, then.
Yeah, then it would make a difference.
Then I would feel very
money
different.
appropriately, for sure.
The other piece from the MIFGASH is a lot of kids came late because I was standing at the back of the door until they unlocked the doors to let people in. So I hope everyone signed in. And that's a problem when you're not having busing, that they're coming late and they're leaving early.
Yeah, we definitely found that the kids that weren't on the bus made it logistically more challenging than when everybody was on a bus and we just said, okay, this congregation is leaving by. Everybody went out together. That was much easier. So we'll see if it plays out, right? When we're at Cole Emmet on February 26th, if we find that there are less logistical issues, then we'll know that was, true. We also talked about next year holding the MIFGASH team all in one place, so it felt like their space and it wasn't different every time. So that's something that we're considering for next year.
What is the time, the bus ride time from the main line to Cole Emmet?
So the way I've designed the MIFGASHim are that no one has to get on a bus before 9 a.m. and no one will return back to their congregation after 1 p.m.
After 1 p.m. Whoa.
Yes. So it's a little bit later than your regular day because our MIFGASH runs from 10 a.m. to noon.
That's what I was asking, because we're going to really have to notify parents about a late return. And I'm wondering if there's any extra incentive for the kids coming from out here to make that trip, or is the MIFGASH alone enough? I'm sorry.
We always challenge.
So I'm just gonna clarify, Marcia. The kids that are from all over Greater Philadelphia have the same issues, right? Carrie's kids and
Yeah.
Carrie's kids are able to get from Bucks County to the main line in the same way that the kids from the main line can get to Bucks County.
I understand
Yeah.
that, but we have a very low attendance as it is. Let me speak for myself, and I'm not. Certainly we appreciate everybody who comes from out there coming here. That's not my issue. My issue is my kids are not good attenders at the Mifgashim. I don't know how we can really push this if it's going to be an hour bus ride. I mean, I hope that people will go. And I'm speaking just for my shul, for my kids.
So what I would say is I hear you, and I appreciate that that's true of your particular constituent group. If you want to come up with some sort of incentive for them, you're certainly welcome. Every kid that goes to the Mifgash can get a whatever. Maybe that will work for you. I will remind you that the last Mifgash is at Beth David, so you won't have that problem. As far as time, transportation time. However, there won't be a bus. So, it's really up to each congregation to promote the Mifgashim as an important part of Havayah.
Right,
And,
I understand.
Right. No, the kids and the pressure on the kids are not different, but the attitude of the parents are.
Right. We don't want to punish the kids for what the parents choose to do, for sure.
Right, and
Right.
we know that to be an issue on all sorts of things here in the village.
Yeah, this isn't different.
Which brings the question I asked of you, Lori. Has anyone brought their parents in to see the excitement of the kids as they worked on their project or they had a lesson? Has anyone brought parents into the classroom?
It's a great question. I don't think so. Anybody?
It's a great idea.
Has anybody brought parents in?
That's what I want to do, and I just wanted to know if anybody else has done
I
it.
think it's a great idea.
Yeah, once I have something exciting going on in the classroom, I would love to.
Yeah, we don't. I haven't had parents come into the classroom yet, but I do make sure that as the kids are working on the project, to be emailing out or tweeting out, not tweeting out, but emailing out or Facebooking the pictures of the projects in progress. One of the things that I did when we sent out the get excited for the next Mifgash blurbs from the different captains, the different team captains, is that when I emailed it out to each parent, I also included pictures of their kids working on their projects in class. With please share this with Lucy. And by the way, here's some awesome shots of Lucy and her group in action. Can't wait to see you at the Mifgash. And I got really good responses from the parents on that. I mean, without having them in the classroom, I feel like it can only be a good idea to hook the parents up to what the kids are doing. Because the kids may come home and roll their eyes and complain, but it's hard to argue with a picture of your kid having an awesome time.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Alana. I know that I talked to one of your parents about Havayah, and that parent totally knew what was going on, was very informed as to his daughter's progress, and that was nice to hear. So, using that as a piece going forward, if you haven't done any specific pictures to specific parents, it's a great idea. And Sherry, I know you're interested in doing how parents would come into Havayah. If you want to talk about it offline, I'm happy to process what that might look like.
Okay.
I had also to the hour-long bus ride question. While you were talking about it, it made me wonder maybe there are ways to get the kids excited about it that then might translate to the parents not being as kvetchy on my end. And that is maybe the kids could each submit 2 songs for a playlist that they all listen to on the bus, or maybe there's a way to somehow make the bus ride cool. I know that they're not coach buses, so we can't put on a movie and have the kids pick what movie they want to watch on the way to and from the Mifgash. But I wonder if there's a way that we can within our classes, our individual classes, somehow make the bus ride cooler and more interesting for the kids, build investment.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, we had been asked to reach out to the bus company because I know that one of the buses drivers said no music. We did reach out to the bus company, and the bus company said it's up to the discretion of the driver. So that didn't really get us anywhere because we can't necessarily say we only want drivers that are okay with music. But you should know we did ask the question, and hopefully the drivers that we get will be supportive of that. So I encourage you to think of entertainment for the bus beyond a playlist, although they could put on headphones, I guess, and all listen to the same playlist at the same time. Not quite the same as togetherness, but I just sharing. But it's a great question.
My kids are loving the bus ride. Loving.
Yay!
They being like their downtime, and they're really enjoying being with their friends. So it was like the surprise bonus of the program. Honest to goodness.
That's so great.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've talked a bit about the buses as part of this program, and I was reflecting on my own childhood, and I was remembering, like, when was I on a bus besides just the school bus? And it was usually when I was going to camp or something like that, or a youth group retreat when I was older, right? And that was they're vivid memories of the bus. Like, I remember them maybe more clearly than some of the activities I was taking the bus to, because that was a time where we were goofing around and we were meeting people, and yeah.
Yeah, it should be a quality time. It should be quality time. But again, it may not be the kids buy-in. It may be the parents buy-in. So if you can think of other ways that you think we can be helpful to you, whether it's helping your teacher or helping the parents understand the impact and the importance of these mifgashim, or how to bring parents into this school, that's why we're here. Susan.
I think that the bus ride is, our kids love the bus ride. I think the leaders, our team leaders on the bus, will generate the excitement, and that's the least of my concerns with this whole experience.
Okay, I'm gonna talk it up as well with the kids. So I hope, really, I'm embarrassed about our attendance, and maybe we can talk up the trip as something that they look forward to as well.
Yeah, I think it's part of the whole package, right? So if you have a teacher that is not engaging the kids in the way that we wish that they were, and you have parents that are ambivalent, and they have to take a bus ride, and they don't understand the project, it's all one package, right? So each congregation is going to have a different experience based on all those factors.
Right.
Which really leads us back to the beginning of the conversation, which is, as we move forward, what are the best practices that we've learned so far, and what can we do differently to ensure that the success of all of our congregations, that we're going to have the buy-in of the parents and the buy-in of the kids and the teacher connected to a team that's going to help them through the process, so that it's all, a happy, successful time. So I think this conversation's been really, really fruitful.
Can we eat on the buses?
Can we what? Can we eat on the buses? I think so.
There's very little that doesn't go better with some Oreos or donuts.
Yeah, Oreos always make everything better, for sure. Even if it's 9 a.m.
That's right.
Donut holes, yeah.
Yeah. I can something like that. Also, I was thinking about perhaps bus buddies. I say it with some reluctance because trying to program bus time is not generally successful. At the same time, if we were able to do it in a somewhat thoughtful kind of way, the opportunity for kids to meet, maybe give them one starter question. Yeah,
and I think it's again, it's going to be. It may work well for some communities and not others. So if you're a community that thinks that might be helpful and you try it, then please share whether or not it worked or didn't work.
Have we thought anything about having, in addition to what we're doing with the kids, having at the same time in a larger space something to do with the parents? So that, because a lot of the parents are worried about putting their kids on the bus, right? I mean,
I haven't heard that to be true, but if yours are, then that's true.
well, my parents always worry about putting their kids on the bus, and so then that also, tends to bother the kids. But then once we calm the parents down, but I don't know about other congregations. So what would happen? It's just I'm throwing it out here. What would happen if we had the first experience, or maybe over the summer, a collective experience of, where all the parents and the kids got together at the same time? Just a thought.
Well, can you say more about the concern about the bus? Are they worried about safety? Are they worried about their kids having a good time?
Don't they take
everything? It's everything about, it's just that parent, putting their kids on a bus to go to, across the river to that other side of the river. Right, across over the river. And the safety.
I think it's an interesting question that we might want to ask at the Adult Summit, right? We might want to question whether or not parents want to be more involved or want to have a component.
I think it's right. It's something to put out there.
It is. I had another question about the tribal leaders. So somebody said, I think it was Alana. Yep, it was Alana who said, when we send out the tribal leaders blurbs, in order to get them excited about the second Mifgash. Remember that?
Yep.
So I want to bring that back because it's time to think about how we get excited about the third Mifgash. And what I can tell you is some teachers never sent a blurb, and I had to write it for them. I think I used one of the tribal leaders' blurb, and I kind of copied it over so that it said the right words. And I don't know how effective that was or wasn't. And I actually don't know whether or not you all used it and sent them out to your people. So as we move forward, can we talk a little bit about what we might want to do to get them excited? That was just an idea, and I don't know how successful it was.
Well, I used it, and, and...
And you think that the attendance wasn't that good? So.
And I think that the attendance wasn't that good, but I appreciated that, yeah.
Anybody else?
I'd like to see something done more with the colors.
So one of the pieces of feedback from the second Mifgash was that the posters, the tribal posters that they made at the first Mifgash were not brought to the second Mifgash, and they weren't used. And what I want to say out loud is they were actually brought to the second Mifgash. They just weren't used. We did actually bring them, and it didn't make it into the space to be able, but it also wasn't really written into the program. So another piece of feedback we got from a few of the teachers was that the Mifgash needs time for tribes to just be, I think what I want to say is, more social time or more energizing time, just kind of upbeat, not just one icebreaker, which we did do, but maybe something deeper. And so maybe when we talk to the teachers in this context, we can talk about how to bring in the colors or how to raise excitement or how to, can you write that down? How to raise excitement, how to bring the colors in, how to bring the posters in, like what, why make the posters of the tribal names in the beginning if we're not going to bring it back in a strong way again.
Right.
Any other feedback about the getting them excited part or the tribal leaders sending stuff out to other, was it necessary? Do we need to try it again? Should we ask the teachers?
No, I think we should try something different. But maybe if you have this webinar before the next one.
Yeah, we will.
Teachers will give you some ideas.
That would be the plan. I'll send out a doodle later today. I'm going to assume it needs to be an evening, though, because most of them work during the day.
Right.
Which is fine. Okay, so I know that it's just about 1:30 and everybody's got lots of other things to do. Any last words, Anna? No, I think this was really, really helpful. I really appreciate your time and your energy and your excitement. It does sound to me like all of your communities would like to continue with Havayah next year. If that's not the case, please let us know. Yes, Carrie's really into it. Yay. 2 thumbs up from Carrie. I think, so if that's not the case, let us know. I think that as far as we're concerned, it is the case, and we are working to secure the funding, and we think that it's totally going to happen, and hopefully in a way that makes us and enable us to move forward in a way that is timelined a little bit differently than last summer when it was a little rushed. So that's kind of exciting for us.
When is the meeting again for the adults?
February 23rd at 7 p.m.
February 23rd at 7 p.m. And we will send it all out again. I will doodle the teachers. Anna has no other last words. Anybody else have any final words? I really, really, again, appreciate your time.
My final
Thank you.
words are thank you, Toda Rabah. It's a fabulous program. We are honored to be part of it. I know I'm bad at taking pictures, but it's been just a whole thing. It really has.
Awesome.
And we did actually, at our last board meeting, we brought some of the projects upstairs to show the board of the labor, and it got very good reviews. So,
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's a
Thanks,
great
Carrie.
idea.
Very, very good idea. Yeah, bring stuff to board members.
Yeah, stuff to see.
Absolutely.
We like it.
That sounds great. Anybody else last words? Kevin, Alana, Marcia?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
I
so
sent
much.
you an
See you
email
guys
with
in
my last
February.
words. So.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, Mark.